Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Sunday, November 17th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up sweeping the board as we ended up winning both games that we had on yesterday's card. We won the play of the day yesterday with San Francisco minus 1.5 as they were able to easily defeat Southern Illinois. So that was an easy winner at minus 112 on DraftKings. And we were also able to win one of the games we gave out earlier in the week as we ended up giving out USC minus 6.5, which was available at minus 110 on FanDuel, and they ended up winning by 24 points. Both games were blowouts, no sweats at all, and we'll look to keep that moving forward into Football Sunday. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into the play of the day, and we're going to be going back to a player prop in a matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, and we like Ezekiel Elliott over 95.5 rushing yards, which is available at minus 112 on FanDuel. Now, I know last week we ended up losing on a player prop with a running back and rushing yards with Marlon Mack, but overall, I feel like the main reason why that one lost was based on game flow, and we thought that the Colts should be beating the Dolphins, and they were trailing pretty much the entire game. In this case, with Stafford out of the lineup and Driscoll at quarterback, I have to assume the Cowboys will be winning a decent portion of this game, so I would not be surprised to see Elliott carry the ball at least 20-something times. Elliott has, even though he struggled last week and only had 47 rushing yards, Elliott has recorded at least 28 rush attempts in each of his last 4 games, so he's definitely been getting the volume, as Tony Pollard has not really seen many snaps ever since the first couple of games of the regular season, and Detroit is one of the worst rush defenses in the entire league. Detroit is bottom 10 in both rush yards allowed per game and rush yards allowed per carry. And simply put, I think that Elliott, after such a lackluster performance against the Vikings in last week's game, I think they will try to get Elliott back on track as he will look to go for 100 yards for the third time in the last 4 weeks. The fourth time in the last 5 weeks, I should say. Either or, I think Elliott will get the same amount of volume. I think he should get over 100. And plus, the Cowboys' offensive line is starting to get a bit healthier with Zach Martin, who's been declared active, and La'el Collins, who practiced limited during the course of the week. He's questionable, but I personally think he will play as he was able to practice a couple of days during the week. So you get a more healthy offensive line for the Cowboys. You get the Lions, who have been absolutely terrible against the run, and the Cowboys, who should be dominating the entire game due to the Lions using their backup quarterback. I think that should lead to a good game flow where Elliott touches the ball at least 20-something times, and I think he should be able to get at least 5 yards a carry. So the play of the day will be on Ezekiel Elliott, over 95.5 rushing yards, which is available at minus 112 on FanDuel, and that will be the play of the day. Now, in terms of some of the leans on tomorrow's card, a lot to cover, so I'm not going to really cover everything, but I'll give out my thoughts on some of the NFL matchups, as I know that that's what a lot of you want me to talk about. First things first, the Cowboys and Lions game. Cowboys have been terrible just covering these large numbers on the road this season, but I'm still going to lean towards them. Detroit's falling apart, and Driscoll, I think he's okay. He's not great. And the Cowboys will be pissed off after they lost the Vikings last week on Sunday night. I think they'll come back. I think they'll get the job done. And I think they should win this game by about 10 points. So lean to Dallas on that one. Other than that, lean to Jacksonville on the money line here. Nick Foles hasn't played that much, and he's only played since week 1. But I still have faith in him. Brissett will be coming back, but he will not be at 100% as he's still... I feel like they rushed him back after Hoyer was so bad last week, and I think that Brissett should play well, but I definitely think that Nick Foles will look comfortable in the pocket, and I think he will find his receivers pretty easily, as the Colts defense has been okay, especially in the secondary, which has been relatively mediocre. But I'll lean to the Jaguars. I think they should be relatively closer to a plus 1.5 instead of a plus 2.5, so lean to Jacksonville there. Other than that, money's coming on the over in the Denver-Minnesota game from 38.5 to 40.5. I'll lean to the over because of the line movement, but I don't really have any thoughts on that game. Moving on, Houston and Baltimore, it's been bet up from 49 to 51.5, and Baltimore's moved from minus 4 to minus 4.5. Houston, overall, I think they're a sleeper team. I still don't like O'Brien as a coach, but at the same point, I think there is some value at the plus 4.5. I would lean to the over, as I think this game will turn into a relative shootout, but overall, I think that game will be pretty close. Moving on, Jets versus Redskins. Jets are currently a 2-point underdog on the road. Redskins haven't scored an offensive touchdown in about a month, but they're still laying minus 2. Overall, small lean to the Redskins here. They're coming in off a bye. I like the spot for them. The Jets looked pretty good last week against the Giants offensively, but their defense stinks, and I simply think the Redskins will come in focus. Their defensive line's very good, and the Jets' offensive line stinks. I think Kerrigan will get after Darnold. I think Darnold will throw a couple interceptions. And as long as Dwayne Haskins doesn't turn the ball over and he simply just gives the ball to Adrian Peterson, I think you could control the field position, and I think that the Redskins will win a very low-scoring game. And so I will lean to the Redskins on that one. Moving on, you have Carolina versus Atlanta. Carolina's been bet down from -7 to -4. I'm going to take Carolina here at -4. Carolina lost a thrilling game in the snow in Lambeau. Definitely a worthy performance there as they ended up losing anyway. Atlanta punched New Orleans in the mouth, and New Orleans didn't respond. I still am not going to believe that Atlanta's that good of a team. I'll lean to Carolina. I think they'll win this game by a touchdown, and I just think Atlanta played well for 1 week. They've been awful for pretty much every other week, and I'm not going to buy into this team, so I'll lean to Carolina. Moving on, Buffalo versus Miami. I'll lean to Buffalo -6.5. Josh Allen's looked awful the last couple of weeks. Miami's looked better, but at the end of the day, I just think Buffalo's a better team, and I think Buffalo will look to keep chase in the AFC wildcard, and this will be a very important game for them. Lean to Buffalo in that one. Moving on, you have New Orleans versus Tampa. I'll lean to the over, and I'll lean to the Saints. Tampa Bay's rush defense is decent. Their pass defense is the worst in all of football. I think Breeze will throw for 300-something yards. I think he'll throw for a couple touchdowns. I think Winston will turn the ball over a couple more times. I do think it'll be high-scoring, though, because Lattimore will be out for the Saints. So after Mike Evans got shut out by them in the first meeting, I think he will bounce back with over 80 yards receiving in this game. But overall, I think it'll be a shootout, but I think New Orleans will win after they will look to get some anger out after that complete no-show from last week. So I'll lean to the Saints there. I think they'll win by a touchdown. Moving on, you have Arizona versus San Francisco. I'll lean to San Francisco -10. I liked Arizona plus the 13.5, but that's been bet down roughly 3.5 points. And San Francisco, they lost an overtime game at home to Seattle. Not really that big of a deal. They could have won the game if they didn't miss the field goal at the end, but Arizona, they looked pretty good against San Francisco the first time they played. Now the game will be in San Francisco. I think Arizona will struggle, and I think San Francisco will look to get Garoppolo back on track after such a lackluster performance last week. So lean to San Francisco. I think they'll win this game by about 2 touchdowns. Moving on, you have Philly versus Philadelphia. You have the Patriots versus the Eagles. And spread's been bet up from New England from -3 to -4.5. I understand the line, I guess. I mean, Philadelphia's going to be at home. They're in a must-win situation. And the offensive line for the Eagles is very good, so they could potentially dominate the line of scrimmage. However, Jordan Howard's not expected to play in this game, so you should see a lot of Miles Sanders action. And I just think Howard's a better runner. And New England's a lot better guarding against the pass than they are against the run. So I think that Howard's injury will cause some issues for the Phillies' rushing attack. Lean to New England. I think they'll win this game by about a touchdown. It will be close, though. I think it'll be a bigger sweat than people think. But New England's defense is simply too good, and I'm not going to go against them. Moving on, you have Oakland versus Cincinnati. It's been bet up from 48 to 48.5. And the spread has been bet from Oakland -9 to Oakland -11.5. I'm still going to lean to Oakland. Cincinnati's got a 2-game cushion for the number 1 pick in the draft. Cincinnati doesn't care about the season. They didn't bench Andy Dalton because he was bad. They benched him because he didn't really accomplish anything for the goal the team was trying to set for itself. And as Miami's winning, and as the Jets are winning, and the Redskins are even potentially winning, Cincinnati has the ability to extend their cushion or their lead, however you want to call it, for the number 1 overall pick. I think Oakland will win this game by double digits, by 2 touchdowns or so, as they're still in the hunt for the AFC West. Lean to Oakland to win handily, and I will lean to the under, as Cincinnati's offense is simply terrible, and I think that Oakland will win somewhere in the realm of 27 to 13. Lean to the under. And moving on for the Sunday night game between the Bears and the Rams. Rams have been bet down from -8 to -6. And total's been bet down from 42 to 40. Simply put, I hate both quarterbacks in this matchup. I think Trubisky's overrated. I think he stinks. I think Goff is overrated. I wouldn't say he stinks. I think he's below. I think he's average at best. But overall, I just do not like both quarterbacks at all in this matchup. Both defenses are pretty good, except Chicago's defense is always on the field because they can't move the chains. I'll lean to the Rams, I guess, but I really would just pass this entirely. I kind of wish this game got flexed out of the primetime slot because this game's going to be boring as hell. But either or, that's the game that we got, and that's the game that some people will be betting on. I'm not one of those people. I think this game's going to be hideous to watch. But overall, the play of the day will be, once again, on Ezekiel Elliott, over 95.5 rushing yards, which is available on FanDuel at -112. Other than that, though, that's going to do for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Sunday, November 17th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.